Gabriel. Thank you. What we'll start first with, friends, is giving Gabriel, Zeph, and George a chance to introduce themselves before I introduce our two guest speakers. So Zeph Baker, could you tell everyone who you are and what's your claim to fame in Columbus?
Yes, good morning, Teresa. Good morning, everyone. I am Zeph Baker. I'm a native of Columbus. I've been here my entire life, but also have had the chance to travel the world. I am a healthcare provider to where I provide residential services to mental health individuals and individuals dealing with actually developmentally disabilities, and also 24-hour nursing services. I have outpatient facility and private home care services that we offer as well. But I love Columbus. I love my community. I love helping those who are disadvantaged, and in this, for too long, a lot of that has been, people of color. And so, I'm committed to that. I love the youth. I've been helping them for some time. So I also love Teresa's efforts in the community, her consistency and persistent in making sure that we create the positive change that we need. So good morning, everyone.
Good morning, and we're looking forward to working with you. So glad you could be here. Gabriel, please.
Hi, I'm Gabriel Lundeen. I am Deputy Director for Chattahoochee Valley Libraries. I oversee our 7 branches, 2 bookmobiles, and 2 24-hour libraries and public service kind of as a whole. I've been in Columbus for about 11 years now, 10, closing in on 11. But I'm originally from California. I'm passionate about the community, passionate about the ways we can help. So without going on too far, it's good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, and we love the bookmobile. And I see that we have Sergeant Malone, who has joined us from the Columbus Police Department. So could you please introduce yourself, Sergeant?
Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Command Sergeant Alan Malone with the Columbus Police Department. I'm currently assigned to the Chief's office. I've previously worked, just a little bit about myself, previously worked in the patrol division as Command Sergeant over the North Precinct, which was located at 8395 Beaver Run Road. I've also had experience working in our homicide unit, robbery and assault unit, special operations unit, and our identification unit. And I've been with the department 16 and a half years now. So look forward to talking with you all today.
Thank you. And Jonathan, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. My name is Jonathan Evans. I'm the Resident Services Manager for the Columbus Housing Authority. And I'm also the Relocations Manager for the Columbus Housing Authority. So whenever we have to do any major relocations or renovations, it's my job to actually move people around in the different housing communities.
Well, I have with me here, let me turn on the camera because this is a perfect segue into introducing Jasmine Outlaw. She's, why don't you say what you do, Jasmine?
Hi, I'm Jasmine Outlaw. I'm the Spice or Outreach Coordinator at Warren Williams, building a strong, I'm building a strong parental involvement in the community.
Yes, it is so great to have such a dynamic community organizer, Jasmine Outlaw. She's a young parent of 3, and she's been really building relationships at the Warren Williams Public Housing. So I'm happy to have her a partner in the struggle with strong parental involvement in community education. Well, everyone, George Friday, please introduce yourself. She's our person who staffs the meetings and sends out the Zoom. So George, would you please?
Good morning. I'm George Friday. I'm in Gastonia, North Carolina, but I work as the meetings coordinator for Southern Anti-Racism Network. And I will, set up the meetings and send out recordings and send out reminders. The major role I might have today is if you're speaking and you have 2 minutes left, I will say you've got 2 minutes left. Thanks.
Well, thank you. Well, that's great because we do have 2 guest speakers that we promise 5 minutes each to tell us about the work they're doing and the partnership we want to deepen between their work, which is, our work in Georgia tends to be kind of based in Atlanta, but Columbus is the 2nd largest city in Georgia, and we need to be paid attention to. So we're going to start out with Jamel, who is Jamel Hill, who is with the Georgia Poor People's Campaign that we just came off a major national mobilization in June. And I was there in June to see the huge numbers of people who came out to stand up against poverty. So Jamel, if you could speak with us and tell us more about your work for 5 minutes before we go to Aaron.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Ms. Teresa Elamine, for having me today. And thank you everyone for joining this call and engaging with me today. So as she mentioned, my name is Jamel Hill, Jamel like email, just so you'll remember. And I am one of the tri-chairs for the Georgia Poor People Campaign. I want to start out by just throwing this simple fact out there. Out of the top 25 industrialized nations in the world, America has the worst poverty. Out of the top 25 industrialized nations, America is the worst. And there's just no reason that it should be that way. In America, we have over 140 million poor and low income people. And I want to be specific about that, because when we talk about poverty, if you go and you look on the website, it's going to say only 13% of the nation is in poverty, right? But what we have is an outdated poverty measure. They say that you have to make, for a single family, one person, you have to make below $13,000 in order to be considered living in poverty. And what we know is that's just not true, right? You're poor long before $13,000. And so what we're doing is the Georgia Poor Campaign is looking to do more. We're looking to mobilize, organize, register, energize, and just get people involved in civics and civic engagement and get them more involved in their communities and in the things and the topics that impact their lives. And then hopefully what that do is it'll trickle down into other areas of life, right? Because if you care about yourself and you care about your community, then maybe you won't commit as much crime, right? If you care about yourself and you care about your community and you care about your future, maybe you'll do more to educate yourself, to read more books, to visit your library, be more involved in those organizations. And we know it trickles down to health. So that's just to tie it in with my other people who are on this call today. I really see how this is a fusion movement and how we can do this work together, essentially. And the other thing is that poverty isn't just about Black and white, right? Even though numbers wise, percentage wise, there are more Black people living in poverty, not just flat numbers, there are actually more white people who are living in poverty. And again, beyond just that 13,000 benchmark, what about the people who are the working poor, right? What about the people who work and don't have health insurance? Their voices deserve to be heard, and they deserve to have policies and policy makers that are willing to address them and the things that influence and affect their lives. And so part of what we're doing is looking to just get people more engaged in the Columbus area. I'm actually from Perry, Georgia, a really small city we're south of Macon, really, really small, had dirt roads until about 10 years ago. But what we're doing is looking, whether it's a metropolis like Columbus or somewhere on the outskirts of Columbus, we're looking to engage those people and just get them involved. So I want to start out with 2 events that we're going to be hosting. And I want to see if I would love to partner with you all. One of them on October the 17th at 8 p.m., we're going to have a revival watch party. So if you know of any churches, as I know I have about 60 seconds left, if you know of any churches that would be willing to partner with us in hosting a revival watch party, Bishop Barber out of North Carolina has revitalized the Poor People's Campaign, which was originally started by Reverend Martin Luther King. And with this revitalization, him and Reverend Liz Theo Harris, they will be hosting revival and revivals online. And what we would like to do is partner with churches to host watch parties where you essentially get a group of people together, and then we provide resources to help out and make that a real party. And then the other thing that I've been working on is we're going to host a march down Main Street on October the 15th, Saturday, October the 15th. And so then that'll follow up with that watch party on October the 17th. So again, it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much. And if you're interested in either one of those and participating in the revival watch party or in the march down Main Street, we're going to have a follow-up meeting next week on either September 14th or 16th. And so if you'd like to get in on that, we would love to have you. We would love to partner with you. And we're a nonpartisan organization, most importantly. It's just we're putting people over politics.
Well, thank you so much, J-Mel, because thanks to our wonderful library, one of the staff people, I asked her to do a kind of a picture of poverty in Georgia by congressional districts. And so she did all 14 congressional districts, and there's high poverty in all of the congressional districts. And as you know, Georgia is pretty much a state in the partisan picture where we have 4 or 5 Democrat Party elected, and the rest are Republicans. And I think that that's a way for us to bridge the partisan gap so that all the Congress people can see that poverty is their issue because it's in their districts. So I do want to talk with you more about that. And the Southern Anti-Racism Network is ready to say, sign us up. So we do want to hear from Erin Robinson. It's just so amazing to see how the young sisters are being in charge of such important work. So Erin, please introduce yourself and say what you do and say what it is we're getting ready to sign up on. Thank you.
Sure, I'm happy to be here. Hi, I'm Erin Robinson, Director of Outreach and Strategic Campaigns at the Georgia Budget and Policy Institute. So, Ms. Teresa, I do have a few slides, but would it be better if I just share verbally? I can do either one.
Well, you have only 5 minutes, so.
Okay, so I'll just talk. So just wanted to take a few minutes to tell y'all a little bit about the Georgia Budget and Policy Institute, and then a little bit about what we have coming up. So if you haven't heard of it, the Georgia Budget and Policy Institute, also known as GBPI, strives to be an anti-racist research and advocacy organization that works on advancing lasting solutions to expand economic opportunity and well-being for all Georgians. So we have a few policy focus areas that are on taxes, the budget, education, healthcare, economic security, as well as economic development. So wanted to share a little bit about some of our policy priorities and the things we advocate on in the legislature during legislative session. So there are a few key areas. One of those is advancing prosperity through fiscal responsibility. So making sure that the state is using its money in a way that supports Georgians and meets their needs. So advancing tax reform proposals that strengthen the ability of the state to raise money, to raise its revenue, so that we can have a state level earned income tax credit. Many of you might be familiar with the federal earned income tax credit, but Georgia actually does not have a state level earned income tax credit, which could support families in bringing home more money, low income and middle income families in bringing home more money. We also advocate for improving tax code transparency, helping Georgians understand where the state is spending their money, as well as strengthening the child tax credit and making sure families have enough money to make ends meet. So we also work on defending the safety net, so making sure people have access to food support and cash assistance, as well as paid leave when they need to take care of a family member or when they have a child. One of our other key areas is raising educated youth. So supporting K-12, public K-12 education and shining a light on efforts that plan to take public funds from public schools. And that's something I really want to focus on in our quick conversation today. So we have a coalition called Fund Georgia's Future, and the Georgia Budget and Policy Institute is a member of the steering committee of Fund Georgia's Future. So Fund Georgia's Future is a coalition that brings together organizations and individuals across the state of Georgia to advocate for public funding for public education in Georgia. So we advocate for fair and full funding of public schools in Georgia. That means not diverting funds for public schools to private schools, and making sure that there is increased funding for public schools and stopping budget cuts to public schools as well. So this coalition is relatively new, but we've just kicked off. We had our kickoff this year for the newly revamped coalition. We have a steering committee of about 8 organizations, and we plan to expand that and roll off some in the future. The Southern Anti-Racism Network is actually one of our new members of the coalition, and we have some things coming up. So we have 2 campaigns that I want to talk about. One is Operation No More Bake Sales. And what that is we recognize that, a lot of schools use bake sales to raise money, and bake sales are great, but the state should be fully funding our public schools. So we've put together a campaign where Georgians can find their representatives, their candidates for Georgia House and Georgia Senate, and ask them to answer 3 yes or no questions. So for example, things like, do you commit to voting against budgets that cut funding for public schools? Do you commit to opposing bills that take money from public schools? And do you commit to support legislation that increases education funding, specifically for students living in poverty? So if you want to take part in that effort to hold your elected leaders accountable, then please feel free to visit our website. I'll drop it in the chat. But the second thing I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today was that the Senate Study Committee on Educational Funding. So they have put together a study committee where they're going across the state to hear from Georgians about their experiences with schools and underfunded schools in particular. So they'll be hearing from the public in Columbus on October 21st at Columbus State University. And we don't know the time yet, but the Southern Anti-Racism Network has agreed to work with Fund Georgia's Future to recruit people to attend that meeting, as well as to provide public testimony online. So please feel free to participate, come out and share with your state leaders about what your experiences are like in Georgia's public schools. So we are so grateful to the Southern Anti-Racism Network for supporting us in recruiting people to participate in this effort. And I'll make sure to drop our website in the chat.
Well, this is going to be a great October. I feel it coming with the events with the Poor People's Campaign and the event on October 21st, because what you should know, Aaron, is that we have the best delegation in the Georgia State House coming out of Columbus. So my state rep is Carolyn Hughley, and my state senator is Ed Harbison, and they do report backs on activities all the time. So as soon as you know the time and location, I will get over to Carolyn Hughley, and she will make sure that others in the Columbus delegation are aware, because January will be here before you know it. Now, what we do with the rest of our meeting before we have any questions is we hear from all of our partners, and the Housing Authority is one of our important partners because we have an MOU with the Housing Authority that has allowed us to do outreach to all of the properties. And Warren Williams definitely stands out, given Jasmine is here as one of the more developed community projects. And we're working on Elizabeth Canty, which is a larger community, as well as Wilson Homes, which is the largest community, and then Farley Homes, which is a smaller community. But this is where the highest concentration of parents with children live. So our priorities as Columbus Organizing Together is affordable housing, education equity, and public safety. And so during this pandemic, we also said public safety also means public health. So we say affordable housing, education equity, and public safety, public health. So we'll ask Jonathan to speak first, and then Command Sergeant Malone, and then Gabriel Lundeen, because the library is an important factor in achieving education equity. So we want to hear reports, 5-minute reports from each of them before we kind of open everything up. So Jonathan, please tell us, we've really been missing you because I didn't realize I had been calling you and you weren't around. So please give us an update, Jonathan, what's going on with the Housing Authority?
Yes, ma'am. Hey, how you doing, Mr. Risa? Yeah, I have. I actually took a couple of vacations. So in all, I took almost a month vacation. Went to Las Vegas and other places. But as far as the Housing Authority, we're partnering with a lot of different groups. And one of the partnerships that we have, we're putting on, it's called New Birth, and we're putting on a college and career fair at Carver High School. It's this month, September 17th. We've invited different colleges from around the area. We reached out to colleges as far as Tuskegee, Albany State. We've reached out to, of course, to all the local colleges here in town, and they're going to be at this event along with the different branches of the military. We'll have some people from electrical union there. We'll have people from truck driving schools representing. So what is the whole goal is to get out and to show kids they have other avenues. You know, if they want to go to college, we'll have people there to help them with their FAFSA and different things. For I know college has already started for the fall, but anyone who didn't get a chance to get in for the fall, we are getting it prepared so that way if they want to get in for the winter quarter, they can. Like I say, that will be September the 17th at Carver High School. We're doing it there. We'll start the meeting from 10 a.m. and I think it's from 10 until 1:30. We'll be at Carver High School, and we're putting that information out. It's going to be on the radio. We're going to have someone that goes on the news channel to talk about it. So the information should be getting out as much as possible. Also, that we're talking about Warren Williams, we're now moving into the phase where I will have to start doing my other part of my position, which is the relocation part. We're going to start meeting with the residents of Warren Williams. We're going to have everyone to put in their information as far as the background, how much they make, things of that nature, in order to go ahead and try to schedule the renovation for Warren Williams. We're getting ready to do that. That process is probably going to take over a year, but we are working on now scheduling the meetings for the residents, talking to the residents, telling them what they have as far as options. If they decide that they want to remain at Warren Williams, how they would move to different unions within Warren Williams, and how we'll have to do that transition. Or some of the residents, if they are considered to be over income, they will have options as far as how we would be able to move them outside of regular public housing. So we'll be meeting with residents within the next couple of weeks. We're going to go ahead and start scheduling those meetings, and Warren Williams should start its renovation process, we're hoping, by the end of the year.
Well, thank you so much, Jonathan. As you know, my opinion about this is really boils down to the housing authorities around the nation abandoning affordable housing for poor people because the only two actual public housing communities left in Columbus are Warren Williams and Elizabeth Cady. So this strategic plan has been on the books for some time. So the other communities that I mentioned are actually no longer public housing. They're what you call residential assistance demonstration projects. And so the people who live there, the minimum rent, I understand it, is $170 a month. And so it really does, it is a raise the rent project. And so we can talk about it a little bit more on the back end, J-Mail, if there's time, because we want to hear from our other speakers, because we do know that Gabriel has to leave. He has a hard stop at 11:45. So if we can hear from our command sergeant, Malone, 5 minutes. We had a lot of excitement in Columbus yesterday with at least one suspect losing their lives in a police involved shooting. So we would like to hear an update about that if you can, and anything else you would like to tell us about how things are going with the Columbus Police Department under our chief, Freddie Blackman. I'm so glad he arranged for you to be here with us. So
Yes, ma'am.
Please,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Ellerman. And it's a pleasure to be here with you all today. In reference to the officer-involved shooting that occurred yesterday, it's still an ongoing investigation. The GBI, they are, conducting the investigation into that matter. The officer who was struck by gunfire, they are still recovering from the incident. And the officer who was involved in the motor vehicle accident, who was actually en route to try to assist the officer, is still recovering as well. But unfortunately, it's a tragic event. Anytime there's a loss of life, and doing our jobs for us, wearing the uniform and the badge as a police officer, we are faced with a variety of constant danger situations on a daily basis. So, but it's a part of our job. We know that when we, take the oath to do this particular job. So there are times that, we may be faced and involved in dangerous situation, but unfortunately, and anytime there's a loss of life, it's a sad situation. Obviously condolences go out to the family and of the individual who deceased, and also our prayers and encouragement go out to the officers involved and who were injured during the incident as well. As far as Columbus, for us the incidents occurring, obviously, you all may have seen for several incidents in the news media regarding violent crimes. We're working on ways to combat that type of activity. We're actually still conducting certain details for certain operations, rather where we're going out to certain areas that, or we're seeing a lot of, influx of criminal activity, and we are addressing that and trying to combat that type of activity. We have things in place for us trying to increase our numbers for us officers. Our recruitment efforts are still, going. We're making steps and force to getting people hired on, and making steps to retain officers. We're trying to look at different ways where we can better retain our officers as well. We also, for its community outreach, we offer our Citizen Law Enforcement Academy. We actually have a class going now, actually currently, and we also will be starting back up our Pastors Academy soon as well. And we also have, programs that for us have a connection with our youth for us, our DARE programs, and we have officers going out to schools, talking with our youth, trying to establish that rapport, that relationship with between law enforcement, and to give some insight on for us involvement with police officers. So we're looking at ways to try to increase that relationship, so we can have people, if they see something out there in the community that's going on, they'll be willing to report that information to us and create that dialogue where there's an open relationship or in lines of communication regarding such criminal activity, because it's going to take a group effort to combat what we're seeing. And it's not only happened here in Columbus, it's happening all around for us, the nation, for us, an increase of criminal activity. So it does take a community effort, and we're definitely looking at exploring different ways to try to, increase those lines of communication and halt some of the criminal activity that's occurring. So again, it's a group effort. As you all probably heard Chief Blackman refer to, all hands on deck. That is a real statement, because we cannot do it alone, as law enforcement officers, because there are times we are faced with situations where we go out and conduct an investigation, and individuals may have seen that crime occur. They may have witnessed a murder. And unfortunately, sometimes there are times where individuals won't even tell us what happened, even though they saw it. So it does take a group effort for us being able to come forth, our citizens come forth, being willing to share information, and the dialogue from our teachers, our pastors, we're definitely looking at ways to explore to try to make things for us, a little bit better for us regarding the activities that we're seeing. So, yes, ma'am. We've also tried to make it better for our citizens where, in case you have certain incidents for us, we've minor incidents for us, a minor theft or things of that nature. We have our online self-reporting on our website, and that allows citizens to go to the website and they're able to file a police report without having to, have an officer come out to them, and that saves time on certain calls for officers having to go to, I would say a minor call versus a high priority type call, and, help keep officers out there on the streets. So we encourage our citizens to utilize the self-reporting on the website to, help force those numbers or keeping officers available to service those calls. So, but I definitely thank you all for allowing me. I know I'm trying to wrap it up early, but I thank you all for allowing me to be here to meet with you all today. And we're going to continue to do our best to provide an excellent service for our citizens here in Columbus, Georgia. Thank you.
For a few
Anything else?
minutes, so that we can ask you a question or two. But Gabriel Lundeen, I know you have a hard stop at 11:45, so could you please give us your wonderful library update?
Yeah, thank you. And so I apologize for that. I just have to be to the next meeting. But so we have here at the library have had a really excellent summer. We were a big part of the MCSD summer learning experience that they've been organizing. They have a 3-year grant to do that with COVID related issues and trying to stop, summer reading's always been about the summer slide, but now we're combating the COVID slide as well. And that gap in education, our staff went to, gosh, it was like 90 different outreaches. We were all over the place doing that, as well as our normal summer activities. Not sure if any of you had a chance to see it. We hosted a really excellent exhibit here from the Smithsonian called The Bias Inside Us, and it touched on the issue of bias and was a really excellent way to introduce a lot of these concepts and talk about some of the things that have been talked about in this meeting, about how housing has been affected in that way, about hiring practices and poverty and perception and the way that we all have biases, and by being aware of them, you overcome them. So trying to keep that conversation moving forward in the community is something that we are passionate about as well here. We also are working on a couple of big, well, we finished one, and we're a 4-county library system. So I wanted to mention our Casita branch had a wonderful renovation grand opening at the end of June. They've almost doubled in size. It's a really beautiful building. And if you find yourself out in Chattahoochee County sometime, I highly recommend taking a visit. We are moving forward and hoping to, not sure on dates because we're still moving forward on it, but we're planning our renovation of the South Columbus Public Library as well, which is something that I'm really excited about. And we will be moving in the next couple of months into a temporary site for about a year. The South Branch will be at Our Lady of Lourdes Church. They have part of an old school. So what that allows us to stay in the community and in the neighborhood, which was really important to us as well, because that library is near an elementary and a middle school, and it serves a very, very strong walking community. And we didn't want to abandon people while we're renovating, but that has all been a lot that we're moving forward and trying to get going as well. And just moving towards fall, moving towards seeing a lot more people back, a lot more people using the library as public space now that we have programs going and meeting rooms and all of our services being fully back out there in the community, doing what we can. But does anybody have any questions or anything? I don't want to just monologue, but sometimes it's hard to, we do a lot, and we try to stay as outward and involved as we can. We've got a lot of big stuff coming and have had an excellent summer and are looking forward to a strong fall. And in November, we'll be at the summit, the education summit, as Elamine mentioned.
Yeah, well, Gabriel, if you could just tell people a little bit about the amazing Bookmobile, which is a library on wheels that goes throughout the community, making it easy for people to access books and to sign up for library cards. It's a really unique thing associated with Columbus Public Library, and we use it. So if you could just say a little bit about your, because Gabriel is in charge of the Bookmobile.
Well, I think you just did it for me, so thank you. But we have 2 bookmobiles. We have one that they both do a lot of the same things. We visit senior living facilities, schools, community outreach events. We've the public housing, all sorts of different places. We try to go anywhere where people can't reach a library otherwise. You'd be amazed the things that I've learned about generators recently and how hard it is to keep a giant generator on those things running. But we have been out on the road. It's been great to see people. And we're always looking for those opportunities to be at community events. We're going to be beyond our normal typical stops that we run. We're going to be at the Hispanic Heritage Festival this month. Tonight we have a family literacy night at Gentian Elementary. This is sort of the season beginning of school events and family literacy nights and things like that. So we do our best to be where we can. We're big believers at the library, and our staff, not just the bookmobiles, but our staff as a whole reflect this. We don't believe people just should be coming to us and all we have to do is open our doors and wait for them to flock. We go out to people. We meet people where they are and try to be of the community, not just serving the community.
Well, thank you so much, Gabriel. And everything he said is so true, and how much we appreciate the library. So Gabriel, if you could just mention those 4 other counties outside of Muskogee that you serve.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So Muskogee is one of them, but we also have branches in Chattahoochee, Stewart, and Marion County. So we're a 4-county regional library system.
And as many of you know, those are very low wealth counties. And so it's very important that Columbus is kind of spreading the wealth, so to speak. And George, if you could time me for the 5 minutes on the Southern Anti-Racism Network, because thanks to Jasmine, we have an event coming up on Monday, September 12th. So Jonathan, I hope you can be with us at the Warren Williams property, where we're going to have parents meeting, and it'll be from 10 a.m. until noon, and we'll have our partner Dunkin' Donuts is going to give us the deep discounts so we can provide the donuts, the croissants, and the coffee, and the hot chocolate, and the orange juice for the 2-hour event. And so you'll get to see commitments from parents that Jasmine has been organizing to participate, because Command Sergeant Malone, as you know, we have had people who have been murdered in the Warren Williams property. So I think part of what parents' participation will do is also make sure that there's a stronger community watch there, so that neighbors are looking out for neighbors and avoiding any criminal activity in the community. That's a big part of how we think parents can participate. And of course, the bookmobile comes there on a regular basis. And so that's our partnership on around education as well as public safety, in collaboration with public housing. And so the other thing I want to mention is that we have a major summit coming up on November 12th. And so, dear Zeph Baker, I'll be coming to you for your support. So Jonathan says he can be there on Monday. Great. And everyone else is invited to be there on Monday as well. And the November 12th summit is on a Saturday. We had the summit last November on November 10th, and it was on a weekday. So the parents said it would be easier for them if we do a Saturday event. So it'll be from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. on Saturday, November 12th. And it's going to be at the Marriott Hotel on Front Avenue. So you know, we're getting ready to spend a pretty penny, Mr. Baker. So we're trying to get people to do full page ads in our program booklet, so that we can make sure that we can pay for the event. So we're starting that process this month. And so we'll serve a continental breakfast that day, and then we'll have box lunches, because there'll probably be lots of children there. And Danita Gibson Lloyd, who is chair of the board of the Urban League, will be our MC for the day. And so it's going to be a great day, because the mayor will be speaking, so he will welcome everyone as he did last year. And then the superintendent of education, Dr. David Lewis, will also speak about the commitment of the school district to parents. So it will be a meeting that will include parents and their children, in addition to community partners. So those are the two big things we have coming up. So I do want to get back to J Mel since she had her hand up. And so J Mel, before you finish, we want to make sure you tell us more about October 15th and October 17th. Well, I'm done, so I'm glad I saved that extra 2 minutes. So J Mel, you had your hand up. What did you want to say or ask?
So I'm actually a certified career facilitator. And so I was wondering if they had anyone to do like resume workshops during that college and career fair. Because it's going to be at a school, I thought it would be nice to provide that service to people if they're looking to touch up their resume. So I just wanted to offer that to Mr. Evans.
Well, I'll be sure to let him know. One of our main partners is Goodwill, and they have this amazing career center here. And so I will forward you their list of activities for September because part of what they do is that work. And the Housing Authority provides transportation for its residents to the Goodwill Career Center, where Goodwill is our primary partner, gets to take care of that. But I do want to extend an invitation to all of you to join us. Could you grab me the flyer? To join us on Monday, September 12th. There's a flyer for the event on Monday, which I will arrange to have sent to all of you, which has the address for the Warren Williams property. But we would be very honored if Mr. Zeph Baker and Sergeant Malone, someone representing CPD, could be there with us on Monday to talk about our partnership in the community because there's so much in the way of resources here, J-Mail and Aaron, and it's just really great that we have the support of the Columbus Police Department around our public safety priority and around our public health and priority. We have Zeph Baker, and then education, the library, and ending poverty with Goodwill. We support Goodwill, and Goodwill supports us back. So these are our partners. So does anyone have any questions for Aaron, J-Mel, or Sergeant Malone? And Mr. Baker, if you have anything you would like to add to the conversation before we close, because we do have a hard stop at noon. So Aaron, can you repeat October 21st and how we can find out more about the details on October 21st?
Yes, so the Senate Study Committee to review education funding mechanisms will be having a meeting in Columbus on October 21st at Columbus State University. They have not yet released the time, but I am dropping the link to their website, to the Senate Study Committee's website in the chat. And so that is where they will post the time when it is available. They usually don't post it until likely the week of the event or the week before. And we wish we knew in advance exactly what time it'll be, but we usually don't get that information until shortly before the event. But we'll make sure to let all our partners in Columbus know as soon as we are aware what time that'll be happening. But yes, we'll be looking for people to attend the event as well as provide testimony online. And we'll be working with the Southern Anti-Racism Network to recruit people. And we will also, Fund Georgia's Future will also host an online training to support people in their advocacy around this.
Well, we're looking forward to the collaboration, and I'll check with my state senator, who is very easily accessible, and I'll give everybody the heads up in the Columbus delegation that we're going to be doing turnout because they'll all be there, even though there's no real contest in the elections this year for the delegation from Columbus. At this point, those issues have been pretty much resolved. And so we'll look forward to being there on the 21st and doing the work to mobilize for it, Aaron. So J-Mel, did you have a last comment about October 15th and October 17th? Are you asking us to do a march on that Saturday, October 15th?
Yes, so what I would love to do, if anybody is available, if we could meet next week on either September 14th or 16th, then what we can do is we can figure out which one of those events we want to pursue or both, and how we want everybody to be involved. We definitely support our law enforcement. We appreciate our law enforcement, and I would definitely love to have you all included in any and everything that we do, because I think it's important that we bridge the gap between everybody who's here on this call, between healthcare, between education and law enforcement, all vital pillars in our community. And I look
Yes,
forward
ma'am.
to work with you all and getting to know you better.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, one of the things we talked about, J-Mail, is that the Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance is planning an expungement event where we're going to try to clear the records of people with misdemeanors and felonies who are eligible. And that event may take place on Saturday, October 15th. But I think the 17th is a good possibility, especially to engage the participation of ministers. So I'll be happy to meet with you on the 14th or the 16th next week. So you know my number, just call me and we'll set up a time and we'll see who we can pull together. Probably somebody from the IMA, since the October 17th is a faith-based kind of revival, right? Okay, well, I'm looking forward to working with you. So any final words from anyone? Mr. Baker, are you able to say a last word about your commitment to the Columbus Organizing Together collaborative, because we're bringing you in on board, Mr. Baker, because we need you. He's very busy and he may be doing something, even though we see him and see his picture, he may be doing something. So George, what time do we have? Because we do pride ourselves on the 1 hour meeting. So
It's
George.
11:58.
Well, great.
I'm sorry, I could not get my mic to work. I'm sorry, Ms. Teresa. I was sitting here fumbling and with the phone, but yeah, definitely you have my commitment. I'm not sure about Monday because I do have something dealing with my business that has already been planned. However, I did hear you in reference to the ad for the event Marriott. Just send me the information, whatever I need to do to help out for the children. So yeah, I mean, I'm all in.
Well, great, because we'll probably need to meet in November before November 12th. So I'm looking at November 9th, which will be after the elections, because quite frankly, everybody seems totally distracted with the elections, and early voting starts on October 17th. So I don't have anything planned much between October 17th and after the elections. But it would be a good time to get back together to see how we did with the October events. And we certainly welcome the Georgia Budget Policy Institute as a partner, as well as the Georgia Poor People's Campaign. So I'll keep you posted, and we'll maybe look to get back together the day after the election. So there'll be a little bit to talk about then. How does that sound to everybody? Okay.
Sounds great.
Okay, good. Well, I'll look forward to being in touch. And Zeph, I'll be in touch with you. Any final word from you, J Mel?
In the Poor People's Campaign, we like to say forward together and not one step back.
Step back. That's right. Thank you. Have a
you all.
good afternoon. Bye
Thank
bye. Oh, George, please save the chat. And of course, you'll save the recording so we can send it out. Thank you, George. Please save the chat for us.
Okay,
Because Aaron put some important information in the chat.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you, and Command Sergeant, please tell the chief, thank you so much for allowing you to be here. And we hope we can have
Yes, ma'am.
someone. We hope we can have someone at Warren Williams on Monday. I know that Deputy Chief, oh, why am I spacing on her name? But she has visited with us before. But if you can visit with us on Monday between 10 and noon, that would be great. So you can meet some of the parents and tell them about how much we need the community support the efforts of crime solving. We really need people to continue to come out and say that to communities that could make a contribution in that way. So do you think you could arrange that, Sergeant Malone?
I have to look at for the scheduling, Miss Alameen, but I will definitely make sure either myself or we'll have somebody out there representing, should be able to assist with that. Yes, ma'am.
Well, that would be wonderful. At Warren Williams, we'll be in the community room,
Community room.
at 10 a.m. on Monday, September 12th.
September the 12th. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all very much. I really do appreciate it. It's an honor. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. We need our public safety. We gotta have it, and things aren't like we want them to be. So you got our support. So
Yes, ma'am.
we'll
Thank
see
you.
you on
Thank you.
Monday.
All right. Thank you very much.